Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all, and welcome to the Ramadan special programming, where we collectively hope to attain an in-depth understanding on the intricacies of Ramadan as a holy month of fasting. And this program aims at expounding on the benefits, the blessings, the beauty of the spiritual month or the holy month of Ramadan, which will be done by a team of scholarly panelists. And with me today is Sheikh Adam Hamid from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, who will be taking us through the whole program, and me as your host, Badru Laboa. Sheikh Adam,
Yes, please.
fasting. Take us through it. What's the genesis?
Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For us to begin to understand what fasting is all about, I humbly request you to listen to a verse of the Holy Quran.
Please.
I'm reading from the second chapter of the Holy Quran from verse 184,
Okay.
maybe up to 185.
Okay.
Allah the Almighty says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykumus siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, la'allakum tattaqun, ayyamun ma'dudat, faman kana minkum maridan, aw ala safarin, fa'iddatun min ayyamin ukhar, wa ala alladhina yutikunahu fidyatun ta'amun miskin, faman tatawwa khayran, fahuwa khayrun lah, wa antasumu khayrun lakum, in kuntum ta'alamun. The translation of which is that, O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. The prescribed fasting is for a fixed number of days. But whoso among you is sick or is on a journey shall fast the same number of other days, and for those who are able to fast only with great difficulty is an expiation, the feeding of a poor man. And whoso performs a good work with willing obedience, it is better for him, and fasting is good for you if you only knew. That's what the scripture says
Okay.
from the Holy Quran. From this, you may well understand, like the first verse says, that O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, which means that Muslims were not the first ones to be commanded to fast. The practice of fasting is as old as mankind. In fact, all religions have fasting in their teaching, in their practice, in some way or another. You may find fasting in different ways in the Judaic religion or Christian religion or the Aboriginal religions and so many other faiths. Islam too has fasting. So it's not Muslims only who have been commanded to fast, and it's not Muslims only who are known to fast, but our Christian brothers also have just completed their fasting. So fasting has been practiced by so many religions and has been taught by so many prophets. It's not new for Islam.
That's good to know. So that brings me to my very first question. As you read the translation of the verse, it started with, O ye who believe. Why believers as opposed to mankind?
It's to believers simply because fasting in Islam, as we understand it, is a spiritual exercise which involves one trying his level best to go near his God and to attain righteousness. So has the Holy Quran put it. It says, the verse which I've just recited to you from the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 184, it says that, O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. Righteousness is the target. And to do that, we aim to increase our spirituality and then to also abstain from sinning and doing actions which are evil. So the more we abstain from doing evil actions, and then we try our level best to do good actions, be kind to others, do good to others, care for others for the sake of God. That is righteousness. And indeed, that is the real reason why God the Almighty addressed the believers, because it's the believers who believe in God who strive to go nearer to God, to attain righteousness, to love God all the more. And while loving God, they also love the creatures of God. So that is exactly what only believers can do. And the more one believes in God, the more one will want to come nearer to God, to understand God, and to be filled with the love of God. And rightly so, he will also love the creatures of God. So it is the believers who are primarily addressed in this verse.
Intriguing. Now, in that very bit, and it tickles me. If a Christian brother comes to me and says, am I in this bracket of believers? Can I fast if I so choose?
Oh yes. Anybody who, in Islam, Allah the Almighty puts it very clear that anybody who does anything good, it will not go in vain. That's what the Holy Quran says. Be it a Christian, be it a Hindu, be it anybody. Even somebody who you may think that he's a pagan, but if he has that belief that there is a God there who will reward the good actions that he does, and he believes that that God who created him demands it of him to be righteous, to behave well, anybody, whatever you do, once the aim for which you are doing that thing is to please God the Almighty, it doesn't matter. You're a Muslim, you're a Christian, or you belong to any religion, it is okay. Not even fasting alone, but any good act. In fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is known to have said that, is known to have been asked that what about those actions that were done before people believed in Islam? And the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ explained that it was because of those good acts that God the Almighty led you to Islam. So any action that a person does, a Muslim or a non-Muslim, cannot go to waste. Allah the Almighty indeed rewards for it.
Thank you very much. Next question. What if someone comes and asks, we've got fasting pre-Ramadan, and then the fasting as prescribed in the Holy Quran, as you read the verse. How do you relate the two? How was fasting before, and how is fasting as ordained in the Holy Quran? How can you explain that?
Fasting, as I have explained to you, in fact, the verse has put it very clear. Chapter 2, verse 184. Okay. It says, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you, meaning the believers of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the prime subject here is the Holy Prophet, and then the followers, the Muslims at large. It says that, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. So, as I have explained earlier, fasting started, well, fasting is as old as mankind. So people have been fasting since man was created on earth. And since all prophets who came in one way or another, they had that teaching of fasting. It might have some differences and variances. Yes, here and there. We will go to those, what is the fasting in other faiths and what is the fasting in Islam. You will see those. But it's better I take you to the fasting of the Holy Quran, as the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ brought to us. The basic purpose of fasting, to understand that fasting and the fasting of Ramadan, the fasting of Ramadan about which the Holy Prophet is reported to have said, this is a tradition from Hazrat Abu Huraira, who relates that the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said that if one did not eschew falsehood and false conduct, Allah has no need that he should abstain from eating and drinking. This is found in the book of Bukhari. In Arabic language, falsehood includes wrong deeds and earning anything by illegal means, bribery, adulteration, all these are included. Before this, there were people who were fasting who only aimed at some kind of punishing themselves, hoping that when they fast and they feel that pain, probably they could get rid of their sins. That's not the Islamic fasting. That's right. The Islamic fasting is a spiritual exercise which is done by the love of God the Almighty, because of the God the Almighty. And by loving God and respecting God and wishing to attain nearness to God the Almighty, we practice more and more of worshipping. We do works of charity. We do works of helping people out there. And then we fear God, we read the Holy Quran, and so on and so forth. Again, to attain nearness to God the Almighty. So it is a spiritual exercise as far as Islam is concerned.
Okay, penance actually is what it is in the English language, where you inflict pain upon yourself. It's so people tend to ask this so quite often, that if the way Muslims fast is in either kind of infliction of pain upon themselves. They feel it's a wrong approach, but thankfully I think you've touched upon that wonderfully. Now the next thing, Sheikh Adam, how do we attain righteousness? Through fasting. How do we attain righteousness? Like you mentioned in the verse.
In fact, I would read another hadith, a tradition of the Holy Prophet. It will get you to understand exactly how do we attain that righteousness, what are we to do, and what are we to abstain from. The Holy Prophet was very clear on this. The injunctions in Islam, they are laid out very clearly. I've read to you part of the portions of the verses of the Holy Quran through which God the Almighty ordained fasting for the Muslims. Now this is the tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi hadith. The Holy Prophet gave a sermon during the month of Ramadan. And the hadith goes as follows. Salman the Farsi relates that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, delivered to us a sermon on the last day of the month of Shaban and said, O people, a great month has dawned upon you, a month of blessings in which there is Laylatul Qadr, the night of decrees, which is better than 1,000 months. Fasting during the month is obligatory from God, and nightly prayers are voluntary. Anyone who partakes of a good deed in it is like the one who discharges an obligatory ritual in other months, meaning we are encouraged to perform good deeds, hoping to attain more reward during the month of Ramadan, which means even in the other months we should continue with the same good deeds, but in the month of Ramadan, indeed, we should do more of it. It goes on, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on to say, anyone who discharges an obligatory article in this month is like the one who discharges 70 of them in other months. This was a month of patience, and patience has its reward in paradise. Another act of righteousness which we attain during the month of Ramadan when we are fasting is to exercise patience. Food is there in abundance at home, but God the Almighty, because he said that you should abstain from eating and drinking for the sake of God and being obedient to God the Almighty, because it is the other lesson that we derive from this fasting, that we learn how to be patient to God the Almighty. So the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that this was a month of patience, and patience has its reward in paradise. This was a month of reconciliation and a month in which a believer's wealth was enhanced. The wealth which we get during the month of Ramadan is indeed spiritual. Anyone who fed a fasting person at the time of his breaking fast will have his sins remitted. We are encouraged to feed others, to care for others, especially the poor, and God the Almighty will indeed reward you with a reward which is as much as that person whom you helped to break his fast or whom you have fed. The Holy Prophet said, anyone who fed a fasting person at the time of his breaking fast will have his sins remitted. Why? A fasting person at the time of his breaking fast will have his sins remitted, will be shielded from fire, and will earn a reward equivalent to that earned by a person who fasted without the latter suffering any diminution. We asked the Holy Prophet that not every one of us could afford to help feed a fasting person. The Holy Prophet replied that this kind of reward would be available even if a little quantity of milk, yogurt, or water was offered at the time of breaking the fast. We are encouraged again to feed the poor, to feed people. Everybody should partake into it. Even if you don't have much to feed somebody else, you only have a little bit of water, a little bit of yogurt, or anything. Use that. It will increase the brotherhood among us. And indeed, Allah the Almighty has promised to forgive sins just for feeding another brother to break his fast. Anyone who fed a satisfying meal to a fasting person would be offered drinks from my spring, so that he would never suffer any thirst to the day he enters paradise. The earlier part of the month, this is very important. Again, saying the benefits of the fasting, especially how far do we go in attaining righteousness in fasting. The Holy Prophet said, the earlier part of the month was mercy, its middle is remission from sins, and the last portion was manumission from fire. Anyone who lightened the work of his servant in this month will have his sins forgiven by God and will find himself saved from fire. Even lightening the work of a servant, not burdening him with heavy work during the month of Ramadan, is something which is a righteous action.
These are words of the Holy Prophet.
These are the words of the Holy Prophet, explaining to us the benefits of how far we can go in attaining righteousness, not only speaking of it, but acting in a righteous way.
I think, I guess what we can take from this is Ramadan is about teaching us empathy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can live a life of austerity, and we get to learn what people who go about hungry, the kind of
and
life
caring
they go through,
for others.
And caring for others.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Now, my next question, Sheikh Hamid. Someone goes through the month of Ramadan in a spiritual form, having controlled his disposition, his temperament, that kind of thing. And after Ramadan, they tend to go back to their worldliness. How do you explain that?
It's very unfortunate. And it's only done by those who don't understand what exactly the month of Ramadan is. Because the month of Ramadan is like we try to play out the aim of why we are Muslims. Because the Holy Quran is very clear, like I told you. It says that, O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. Righteousness is not only to be achieved during the month of Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, we enhance our effort in doing everything possible to attain righteousness and retain it and remain righteous. The Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was very clear that whoever lives the days of Ramadan as a righteous man or woman, if he continues to behave as righteous as he was during the month of Ramadan, he will gain the reward of a person who has kept fasting for the whole year. So, from that hadith, we derive a lesson that we are supposed to continue with the same actions which we are performing during the month of Ramadan. Sympathy, fear of God, love of God, caring for others, worshipping Allah, reading the Holy Quran. All these acts are supposed to be continued with, and indeed, we should abstain from evil acts as we are abstaining from them during the month of Ramadan, and we should continue even after the month of Ramadan. Indeed, in another tradition, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that that person who, after having gone through the month of Ramadan, and then he immediately reverts back to his evil ways, then he will not have earned any merit.
How I wish it was that simple. Speaking from the angle of someone watching from out there, and they'll say, Sheikh Adam has mentioned this beautifully, but no matter how much we strive, we tend to find it difficult. We stay faithful to the principles of Ramadan. Then after Ramadan, we just find ourselves just walking back to our routines. How do you advise such a person?
Again, I would increase or emphasize on how much we should try to reform ourselves during the month of Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, we try to attain the ability to do good. We try to refrain from doing bad as much as possible. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, rightly so, that the month of Ramadan is a month of prayer, where we seek the help of God the Almighty to guide us, to give us the capacity, one, to strive in the way of Allah. By striving, I mean doing more and more good and abstaining more and more from bad. And it's a month of prayer again, because we pray to God the Almighty to give us the strength, the understanding, the capability for us to overcome those things which we have failed to overcome all the year through. And to, for example, there may be people out there who have failed to observe the five daily prayers during the month of Ramadan. I know many mosques are full. It's unfortunate that after the month of Ramadan, some of them, the numbers go down a bit. So during the month of Ramadan, we should use this month of Ramadan to seek the divine help of God the Almighty, to have the strength, to have the knowledge, to have the understanding of why we should seek nearness to God the Almighty, and God the Almighty to give us the ability to have that capacity in us, the spiritual capacity, to enhance our spirituality. It can only come from God the Almighty. Fine, we strive. I know it is hard, like you have said, but with God nothing is impossible. We seek the help of God the Almighty. That's why we have to pray quite a lot during the month of Ramadan. While we enhance our worship during the month of Ramadan, we read the Holy Quran quite a lot. But again, we are supposed to seek the help of God, the guidance of God, to give us that capacity to increase on our spirituality as much as possible. So it is God the Almighty who can help us to give us that ability.
I guess you'll be quite amazed why I'm so much stuck on the life during Ramadan and the life post-Ramadan. There's a funny notion which is just thrown around. People tend to say during Ramadan, bars are empty. And at the end of Ramadan, these are the same places you will find overcrowded. Then they say with upon their research, it's quite painful, but upon their research, they realize that the usual customers have been taken away by something called Ramadan.
As if fasting is over. During the month of Ramadan, the Holy Prophet says that Abu Hurairah relates that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, a man's good works carry multiple reward from 10 times to 700 times. Meaning, so we should try to practice as many good deeds as possible. Why? We stand the chance to gain much reward from it during the month of Ramadan. And when I say doing good deeds, we should not only behave well to our fellow human beings, our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, to our neighbor, a person you work with at work, or anybody else, be it a Muslim or a non-Muslim. We should practice the best of our actions. Allah the Almighty, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said, excellence of fasting over other exercises. Hazrat Abu Hurairah relates that the Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, a man's good works carry multiple rewards from 10 times to 700 times. Allah says, a fast is an expiation, for it's observed for my sake, and I shall bestow the reward for it. He who observes a fast gives up his passion and his food for my sake. For such one, there are two joys, a joy when he breaks his fast, and a joy when he meets his Lord. His breath is pure in the estimation of Allah than the fragrance of musk. The fast is a shield. When any of you is fasting, he should eschew loose talk, noisy exchanges. Should anyone revile him or seek to pick a quarrel with him, he should respond, I am fasting. If anybody provokes you or try to say anything that annoys you, just say no. What does this mean? I want to use this tradition to explain the saying of the Holy Prophet, which says that during the month of Ramadan, the doors of hell are open and the devil is shackled. All it means is that during the month of Ramadan, because people tend to do more good and avoid to to do bad things. Because of that, they stand more chance to go in heaven. And the devil being shackled, it doesn't mean that he is physically shackled. Definitely not. It only means that during the month of Ramadan, people avoid to sin, to do bad actions, to disobey God the Almighty, to treat their fellow human beings badly, or to miss out on doing good acts like prayer and reading the Holy Quran. Because of that, they behave well, and this is the shackling of the devil. It means that anyone who on his part decides to avoid doing bad things, he by his action has shackled his Satan. And anyone who doesn't care and he misbehaves, it means his devil is loose. So it's upon the person who is hearing me, anybody out there, do you shackle your Satan or do you let him loose? It's up to you. But the opportunity is there during the month of Ramadan. You can shackle your Satan, and indeed he can remain shackled even throughout your whole life if you determine to remain righteous the way you have been during the month of Ramadan. You remain in the same way during the rest of the year.
A blessed month indeed. Sheikh Adam.
Yes, please.
Your concluding remarks.
My concluding remarks are, this is a month of prayer. We should pray for the Muslim Ummah. We should pray for the whole world. And indeed, we should remember our country, Uganda, in our prayers. May God the Almighty keep it peaceful. But more so, we should pray that may God the Almighty accept our fasting during the month of Ramadan. And may He enable us to attain that righteousness which we set out to achieve during this holy month of Ramadan.
Thank you so much. Just to remind our viewers, or just to pass a little information. This information Sheikh Adam has provided us is compiled in a publication for the holy month. It's in Luganda. Further research can be made on the website www.alislam.org. We also have a local website where all publications in Luganda are compiled, and that's www.islamictreasury.org.ug. They can still visit the Twitter handle, True Islam Uganda. We have YouTube, also True Islam Uganda, as well as Facebook. It's been wonderful having you. And we hope to host you next time, God willing. But that's all time could allow us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.